My name's Greg Harley, and today I'm going to talk about a great feature of the Flowable case engine called case reactivation. Typically, cases may last from a few days to many months, and there's very little impact on the case engine performance if cases remain open indefinitely. In fact, it's not unusual for completion of a case to go into sleeping mode before it is ultimately closed. Consider, for example, a loan application where the application was rejected. There may be a 3-month appeal process, so the case will typically go into a sleeping state prior to ultimately being closed. But what happens if we could reopen a case or reactivate it at a later date? This may simplify the model and reduce the number of instances in an active state, which may help us with our analytics and monitoring. Today, we're going to visit that exact scenario. So let's get started. First, we'll create a new app. We'll call it the Loan app. Inside that app, we'll create a new case called the Loan app case. Inside that case, we'll add 2 stages. The first will be the apply stage. The second will be the approve stage. Inside the apply stage, we will have 2 human tasks. One will be to add data, and the next one will be to add approvers. Inside the approve stage, we'll just have a simple human task called approve. Now we'll add a sentry between the 2 stages so that the approve stage has to wait for apply to complete. Okay, let's add a couple of easy forms. The first form will be to add data. We'll use a simple text field to collect the applicant's name. Save that. Next, we'll create a form to add the approvers. And once again, we'll use a simple text field to collect the approver. For the approve phase, we're just going to add a form that displays both of the pieces of entered data. Now, rather than adding a couple more text fields, let's use a subform for this. The first subform, we'll clear out the label, and we'll reference the existing AdData form. Second subform we're going to request is, I'll put it down there. Once again, we'll clear out the label and we'll reference the existing Add Approver form. If we want to preview it, we'll look at the preview button in the form editor. Looks great. Okay, so let's save off the forms and the cases, and we'll publish the model. We now go over to the work environment and start a new case instance. Here we add the applicant name, will be John Wick. And the approver will be Captain Hook. Here we have the approve form in the second phase, second stage of the case. So let's approve the case. The case is now complete. But how do we reactivate it? Well, in order to be able to create a reactivatable case, we need to add a reactivation listener. So we'll drag a reactivation listener from the palette onto the case itself. Now, case reactivation is only available for a period of time. So we will set the period. In this case, we'll use the example from before of 3 months. So now this case will be available for reactivation for 3 months. We'll save that off, redeploy it, and see what's changed. Once again, John Wick, Captain Hook. John Wick and Captain Hook are our two applicants and approvers, and we'll complete the case. But now we see we have a new action button that is available on the completed case called Reactivate. So let's see what happens when we reactivate the case. Notice when we go into the history, we see that the case has reactivated at the default entry point, meaning all of the usual Sentry rules will apply when the case is reactivated. The only difference being, if we go into our tasks, we'll see that the data has been retained from each of our tasks. Well, typically this isn't what we want to do. Typically we want to re-enter a case in a particular state. So how do we do that? Well, let's just say, for example, we want to immediately re-enter the case at the approve state and not at the apply state. First, we'll go and select the stage, and we'll choose the reactivate properties. We'll open those up, and for the approve stage, we want to directly activate it. We don't want to wait for apply to finish. So we will directly activate this. Again, this is only on reactivation. And for the apply stage, we'll go once again to the reactivate properties. We want to ignore the normal activation conditions. So once again, when the case is reactivated, we're going to ignore the entry conditions here, and we will directly enable the approve. So let's save this off and republish. Start a new instance. Captain Hook. And we'll complete the case. This time, what we expect when we reactivate is to go directly into the approve stage of the case. And here we are, we have the approve task, and we look at the model. We see that the apply stage was completely ignored and the approve stage was directly entered. Let's approve the case and think about another option. Let's say, going back to the design environment, we want to re-enter the apply stage, but we don't want to add more data. We don't want to add any more information about the applicant, but we may want to update the approvers. Well, we can do that. First thing is to undo what we previously did. And in this situation, rather than selecting the stage, we're going to select the task. The task also has a reactivate properties option. So let's select that. And in this case, we're simply going to ignore the entry condition for AdData. This means the case, when reactivated, will re-enter the apply stage just like it normally did and flow through to approve, but the entry condition for AdData will be ignored. Well, let's check that out. We publish, create a new case, John Wick, and we'll complete the case. All right, so now when we reactivate, we expect to re-enter the apply stage, but only have the add approvers task available to us. And indeed, that's what we see. We go to the model, we see the AdData task was ignored and the add approvers task is enabled. If we go back to the task, here we can change the approver to Captain America, complete that, and we see the updated data in the approved task. Okay, so let's talk about another option here. What happens if we only want to ignore the AdData task if the applicant, the existing applicant, was John Wick? Well, let's go back to our settings for our reactivation. And here, rather than simply using the checkbox for the ignore, we'll use an expression. We can use any expression within this context. And the expression we're going to use is if applicant name equals John Wick, we will ignore this particular task in the stage. We'll finish that, we'll save it, and publish again. Start a new case. In this case, we will use John Wick and Captain Hook. Complete the case. Now when we reactivate it, because the applicant's name was John Wick, we expect only to have the add approvers task available. And there we have the add approvers task. And the AdData task has been ignored. Let's start another case where the applicant's name is something else. Let's go with Johnny Utah. And Captain Hook can once again be the approver. We complete the case, and this time on reactivation, because the applicant's name for the reactivated case is not John Wick, then we should get both an AdData and an add approvers task enabled. And there we have AdData with the original data, add approvers with the original approvers. That completes the introduction to case reactivation. There are a number of additional tricks and tweaks that you can make to enable just the state that you're looking for. I hope this was informative, and thanks for listening. Goodbye.